All right, so good afternoon. I'm Jason Thomas, project coordinator with America Makes. I'm going to be joined here for Q&A by my colleague, our America Makes technical director, Brandon Ribick. Thanks for joining us today. We at America Makes are very excited to kick off the first rapid innovation call of 2021. A few important notes before we kick off the webinar. At the end of the presentation, there will be an opportunity for a Q&A session. If during the presentation you have any questions, please submit them in the Q&A space on the WebEx screen, and I'll do my best to get to all of the questions. The questions that are not answered during the webinar, we will post to the Q&A page on the America Makes website, accompanied with the answers. Okay, so this rapid innovation call will be a one-step project call, so that means there will be no concept paper. So a full project proposal is required upon submission. It will be a shortened proposal response format, which is outlined in the RFP. The RFP can be downloaded from the America Makes website. And for this project call, all of the team members must be America Makes members. Okay, so moving on to the schedule. This schedule outlines the important dates that you'll want to consider. The project call went live and was posted last Thursday, January 21st. Some other dates that you should be concerned with are the questions from proposers about the scope or the approach are due on the 28th of January. We will post responses about to your questions on the America Makes website on the 2nd of February. And the deadline for all team members to be America Makes members is also February 2nd. If you do wish to have a fully executed NDA with NCDMM, and that's only if the proposal you're going to submit will contain proprietary information, that will also need to be completed by February 2nd. And then the full project proposal submission due date is going to be the 8th of February. We anticipate that we'll be making a decision and notifying project teams on the 22nd of February. And then we would like to have all of the projects on contract by March 31st. This is a short POP, so all finalized reports and deliverables will need to be received no later than July 31st of 2021. All right, let's move on to the topics of the webinar, of the project call. So there are two topics included in this project call. The first topic is the additive manufacturing. Okay, so a need has been identified for the development of a searchable and scalable AM materials database that is capable of compiling mechanical and physical property data. Material and physical property data exist in many forms on the digital storefront now, and we would like a user-friendly interface that will make it much more efficient to access the project materials and the physical property data. Some things for proposers to take into consideration are thinking about having a method to compile and organize the project data. It must also facilitate the export of data in widely acceptable file formats. I've put some examples there. And that's for analytics, or if you'd like to compare across the project portfolio. We would like this to be adaptable to as many types or categories of data as data, because member needs will evolve. And we would really like to have a method to incorporate additional project data. So when you propose, develop that and make sure to document it. We would also like to see a demonstration using at least one America Makes project data set and with the associated details. User guide or manual should also be delivered. And another important feature of this is a demonstration of the security posture of any application architecture is highly encouraged. Need to ensure that the application architecture is secure and maintains a minimum attack surface post-deployment. And you also need to demonstrate that data cannot be easily exfiltrated by malicious. All right, so moving on to topic 2, which is the AM melt pool monitoring characterization using a reference material. And what we envision here is to develop, demonstrate, and document a method to achieve repeatable and reliable protocols to quantitatively assess melt pool monitoring instrumentation, calibration, and accuracy utilizing high purity metals as a reference material. So a little bit of background in this area. Melt pool monitoring systems are being widely adopted on many commercial metal AM systems, including powder bed fusion and directed energy deposition. And the need to assess these melt pool monitoring systems performance over time and across different AM platforms and user facilities. Calibration or characterization methods that are stable, repeatable, reproducible, and are able to be replicated is very important. So some of the things to take into consideration here are that it must be able to address development and documentation of MPM characterization and validation methods using high purity metals as a reference material. The reason that we want to use these high purity metals is they do have many benefits. They are easily obtainable. They have unambiguous chemical composition. They have relatively well-defined and documented thermal and optical properties. So when you do outline your approach, you want to identify suitable high purity metals, and you want to add the associated temperature regimes. And then you want to address process and measurement consistency or repeatability. You must also demonstrate a method to leverage high purity metals for characterizing MPM instrumentation, and also assess different operating conditions. All right, so moving on to the review. Like I said, there are 2 topics, so there will be 2 awards. The total awards that will be available is $100,000, but that's going to be split over those 2 topics. So the max requested award per project will be $50,000. The cost share for these 2, so topic number 1, there will be no cost share required. So that would be the additive manufacturing materials database. Topic number 2, which is the AM melt pool monitoring characterization using a reference material, will have a 25%, and that will be based upon the award amount requested. The maximum allowed period of performance is going to be 4 months, which will be broken down into 3 months of technical and 1 month reporting, and no extensions will be considered on these projects. So the POP may be longer if you can expedite contracting, but like I said, once again, for POPs longer than 4 months will not be considered for funding. Just another note, follow-on efforts, they may be included in the proposal, but it does count towards the page count. All right, so the minimum deliverables on these projects will be a written final report. We have to complete 1 round of revision with our project manager from NCDMM prior to the final submission. That's why we set aside the 3 months for technical and that 1 month for final report writing, so that we can get that submitted, give you some feedback, and you'll have time to get that buttoned up and handed back in. So you'll have to do financial and man-hour reports monthly, and there will be a minimum of 1 with the most, maybe an update for a TRX, MMX, or a webinar, or other American Makes hosted forum to brief out the membership. Another deliverable on these projects is the lead organization shall participate on at least 1 working group, advisory group, steering committee, or other kind of working group relevant to the subject matter of the project. And the hours will need to be tracked and reported. Okay, a data management plan will need to be made. Key performance parameters, planned project deliverables list with the corresponding technology and education workforce development roadmap requirements. We'll need a draft at the time of proposal, and then that will have to be finalized 1 month after the award. All right, additional reporting. So like I said, at a minimum, it will be one project briefing at an America Makes members meeting exchange, which is our MMX, or a technical review and exchange, TRX. See, we need the data management plan, key performance parameters, and the project deliverables list with the core technology roadmap requirements finalized and documented within 1 month of the project start date. The review of the data management plan and execution 60 days prior to the end of the POP. We'll get that data sent over to NCDMM or housed where it's going to be housed within 60 days prior to the end of the POP. So virtual monthly team meetings that will include the NCDMM PM and a government technical advisor that will sign the project. Will need to be held as necessary or as agreed upon by the lead organization, your NCDMM PM, and the government technical advisor assigned to the project. So reports, presentations, or teleconferences may be requested by NCDMM or AFRL as well. And like I said, you will need someone from the lead organization will need to join a working group, advisory group, or steering committee. The participation will include the presentation of milestone achievements or lessons learned relevant to the fulfillment of the creation of roadmap requirements, requesting subject matter expertise or support, and you can also consult for project steering group purposes or as necessary. And then, of course, the finalized written report with the minimum of 1 round of revisions with your NCDMM PM is required before final submission. And then that will need to be submitted to NCDMM by no later than the end of the proposed period of performance. All right, so the proposed evaluation criteria. So the technical approach will get 0 to 30%, and the delivery and management will be 0 to 70%. All right, so that will conclude the webinar, and just want to ask now if there are any questions. Okay. All right, I don't see any questions coming in. Are there any questions? Okay. Okay, I see a question here. Will this presentation be available for download? It will be available on the America Makes YouTube page, and it'll also be available on the America Makes website. And like I said, you can also download the RFP at the America Makes website, which is americamakes.us. see, let me check the chat here to see if we have other questions coming through that way. Okay, we have some questions. Does the institute need to be a member of America Makes? Yes, anyone that is working on these projects or wants to submit to this project call will need to be an America Makes member. Okay, another question here. Is the system expected to automatically extract data from the existing reports, presentations, etc.? I don't believe so. Maybe, maybe in time, but I think no, we would just like to be able to upload to that. So when new project data becomes available, we would like to be able to upload that project data. Okay, well, if there's no more questions, then I'd like to thank everybody for logging on today. And we look forward to seeing your submissions in the project call. Thank you very much.